You're making more money than ever, but you're struggling, living like paycheck to paycheck. And now we have the numbers to show exactly why that's happening. Just a few weeks ago, the Census Bureau came out with this new report that found household income levels in 2024 were about the same as they were in 2019. But as you know, inflation in 2024 was super high and made it impossible for lots of people to keep up. Except, of course, the richest people. So in this video, I'm going to tell you all about this new report, and I'm going to show you these numbers, and we're going to talk about what the hell is going on. But first, I want to thank my paid FactsHQ subscribers for voting for this story as the bonus this week. If you want to vote on a future bonus story and get access to a ton of other perks from me, make sure you follow these easy steps and you become a paid subscriber too. Okay, so every year the Census Bureau puts out this report that tracks income, poverty, and health insurance coverage for Americans. This new report found that in 2024, real median household income, pre-tax and adjusted for inflation, was $83,730. Now, that is not statistically different than it was in 2023, and in fact, it's about the same as it was in 2019, before the pandemic. Among full-time, year-round workers, median incomes increased almost 4% for men, but did not change significantly for women. In fact, the female-to-male earning ratio, which is a fancy way of saying the wage gap between men and women who are working full-time year-round, fell for women from almost 83% in 2023 to just about 81% in 2024. That translates to the median earnings for men in 2024 were a little more than $71,000 a year, and for women, it was a little more than $57,500 a year. Now, this is the second year in a row that this earning ratio, this wage gap for women, has dropped. Now, the report also breaks the household income down by race. It found all races saw incomes increasing slightly between 2023 and 2024, except for Black households, which was the only category that saw a decrease in income between 2023 and 2024. Of course, the highest income earners, those households in the 90th percentile, were the only category that saw major increases. Those households saw more than a 4% increase in their pre-tax incomes in 2024. But as I said, the median household income and the lowest earning households saw no statistical change in income between 2023 and 2024. So here's why you're probably feeling so frustrated about this economy. According to the data, we saw household incomes in this country between 2014 and 2019 skyrocket almost 21%. And then over the last 2 years, they've barely moved at all. And then when you add the enormous spike in inflation we've seen over the last few years, and now the tariffs, you can absolutely see that it's not you. It's this economy. You are being financially squeezed by inflation and price hikes on housing and groceries and childcare and just stuff we need every single day.
In just 2 months, Donald Trump has taken the world's strongest economy and flushed it down the toilet. The stock market is tanking. The unemployment rate is rising. People are losing their jobs left and right in this country. Inflation is rising. The price of pretty much everything is going through the roof. Trump's tariffs are going to make all of that a million times worse. And not just the price of goods, but also the unemployment rate. There's a lot of American businesses who are going to be negatively affected by these tariffs and who will go out of business. And all the people who work for those businesses will lose their jobs. This is what trade wars do. Trump is also destroying our alliances with our former allies all around the world, including with one of our closest allies and trading partners, Canada. Not only have they responded to Trump's tariffs by placing their own tariffs on American goods, but they are now also warning their citizens not to travel to the United States for fear that they will be unlawfully detained by this fascist Trump regime, as has already happened. The United States is now a country in
Trump has asserted that he needs unprecedented control over every lever of the U.S. economy, even levers over the U.S. economy that were explicitly designed from jump to be independent of any president's influence. He wants not only control over raising revenues through taxes, which is something only Congress is supposed to do. He wants control over what the government spends, which is something that Congress is supposed to be able to do. He wants control over the central bank, which is something that is explicitly designed to not be controlled by the U.S. president. Now, should Trump have expanded control over more elements of the U.S. economy? Should he have unprecedented control over levers of the U.S. economy? Well, how has he done with the stuff that he does control already? I don't know. Under him, we've had job growth suddenly slow to a 16-year low, excluding the pandemic, which happened in his first term. Under him, long-term unemployment is now, per the Washington Post today, quote, at a post-pandemic high and a level typically only seen during periods of economic turmoil. Thanks to Trump's second-term policies, health insurance premiums are about to spike to their biggest jump in at least 5 years. There are 24 million Americans on Affordable Care Act plans, and above and beyond the spike in healthcare premiums that everybody's about to see, if you're on the Affordable Care Act, this next year, your health insurance costs are expected to rise by more than 75%. That's affecting 24 million Americans. Healthcare costs up more than 75% in a year. That's because of Trump's policies. How's he doing in your personal economy? Donald Trump has done such a hit job on the economy that he is now putting his name on the signs at a bunch of infrastructure projects that were passed and funded by Joe Biden. In Biden's legislation that Trump was fanatically and vocally opposed to. Inflation is up, the labor market is down, health prices are about to go through the roof, and so Trump is taking credit, literally putting his name on Joe Biden's economic projects in the hopes that maybe he'll at least get credit for that stuff, because that stuff seems like it's working. So yeah, a guy with that record, should this man get even more control over the U.S. economy? Should he also take the reins of the Federal Reserve Bank that is legally independent from him? I think that's a reasonable question.
You know, we can talk about increased prices and funds being cut, federal funds being cut, job layoffs and so forth. But when you know that you're truly going into a dark place economically, it's when you have those who have the ability to invest in America, in American infrastructure, American manufacturing, when they say they're not going to do it because tariffs are hurting them and the immigration crackdown is hurting them. Yale University had a closed-door meeting with a number of CEOs. In addition to that, they sent out a survey to CEOs. 62% said they will not be investing in infrastructure or manufacturing or technology because Trump's administration, their policies are impacting them. So what we have is layoffs everywhere, record-breaking layoffs. And you can't find work anywhere. You might be able to get a job at Myers and so forth, but that makes you functionally unemployed, meaning you're still living at poverty wages, functionally unemployed. And if you're sitting there waiting for another job that demands your skill set and can put you back in that higher salary bracket, you count on new companies, you count on new technologies, you count on just new stuff, new investments, and it's not happening. And that's not going to change. This is a really bad direction, guys. I don't know how to tell you. This is going to affect every kind of industry. I can't even begin to tell you. Wow. We're making America great again.
Hey, what's up, America? The poor and the middle class have stopped buying shit, and that's spelling a disaster for our economy. So new economic research suggests that the poor and the middle class here in the United States have virtually stopped buying things. This is across the board, from luxury food to clothing to air travel, and it looks right now like the economy is starting to soften significantly. See, wealthy people buying luxury items and things you wish you you had is on the rise, actually. So the super rich are buying more like never before. But the middle class and the poor have all but stopped buying anything new, fun, or exotic. I don't even have to tell you specific items that the poor and the middle class aren't buying anymore, because it's every item. The poor and the middle class are buying less cars than they did 5 years ago, less clothing, less foods, less drinks that are exotic, less vacations. Fewer people are actually buying car insurance for their vehicle now. And like I said, that's across the board regardless of the product. The rich and super rich are buying more while everybody else in America has less and less. And it's so apparent that they're saying that it's a worrying sign for America's economic system. Because without repeat business, mostly from the middle class, generally your small business will go out of business. Because guess what? Even though the rich have lots of money, they can only buy so much shit and they can only be in so many places at once. So if you think it's bad and you haven't been buying as many items as you figured you should be, you're not alone. The poor and middle class have all but stopped buying anything new.
I just had the most unreasonable reaction to something. So I just went to the bank to try to open a checking account, like another just free checking account, like if it was for saving for Christmas presents or like traveling, just like a short-term thing. The guy says, we can't do that. You have to have a $500 minimum. I don't want that. I just want it to be like basic. I don't want a savings account because I need to be able to move things in and out of it as needed. Just wanted like a free basic checking account. I already have an account here. Why can't you do that? He said no. I said, whatever. I left. I get in my car, I just start crying. That is a completely unreasonable response to the interaction that just happened. It's not that big of a deal, but it pissed me off. And it's because I feel like everything, like I immediately got in the car and texted my husband. I said, everything just feels so impossible right now. Like everything, just the weight of everything feels impossible. Like affording to live feels impossible. Like I've been constantly going back and forth. Like, do I want to have another baby? I can't afford it. Like, would I like to? Yeah, sure, but can't. It would mean I need a bigger house, a bigger car, another school. Like, it's so frustrating that these decisions have to be based on things like that. And that all of us have to have like 2 to 3 side hustles just to function. Like, my husband and I have good jobs. We both work. I don't want to work. I want to stay home. Are you kidding me? I would love to just be staying home with my kids. I also do content creation, make money off of that. Like I do Disney travel planning. I don't even talk about that. I do that too. Like I have 2 side hustles and a job. My husband has a very good job. We cannot afford to live. Like it's incredibly infuriating that this is where we're at. It's just, we should be able to live comfortably with the income that we make. And it's just bullshit that we can't. I'm not sure how we got there, but end rant.
If tariffs stay where they are now or get any worse, I predict the economy will collapse within a year. And I have a few reasons to back this up. The first is the wealthy are propping up the economy and the stock market right now, as it's been found that over 49% of spending in Q2 is because of consumers who are in the top 10% of income. Meaning if you make more than $190,000 a year, you are a load-bearing weight on this economy right now, and it's equivalent to 2020 spending. That is thank you to Nick Roboto, who made a video on that topic. Second, property investments are supposed to be considered the safer of some options because they're always supposed to appreciate. Not only do we have more sellers than buyers, as you can see by the major gap, but we also have people searching for help with mortgage. This was 2008, 2009. That was COVID 2020. That in the corner is us. And to top it all off, as of July, the US dollar has decreased in value by 10%. Your dollar is worth 90 cents now. And Morgan Stanley is estimating that by the end of 2026, it will decrease by another 10%, which I think is very gracious of them because I think it's going to happen much, much sooner. And where the tariffs come into play here is they are objectively making things more expensive. They are objectively squeezing out more people who are no longer able to afford things. And the moment the people who are propping the economy up right now start to not want to spend money, we enter the danger zone. We enter the collapse. If this continues in the way that it is going, they have no other option other than to cannibalize each other and monopolize so that they can squeeze out more people and continue to show profits and maintain this house of cards.
In the event that you have the luxury of not being able to keep up with the state of the American economy, I apologize in advance, but I gotta be the one to put you on. If you want to remain ignorant, by all means scroll. But after this portion of the video, it's all facts, baby. All facts. All right, getting straight into it. We're going to be discussing the recession indicators as of August 2025. All right, and the information that I'm going to be giving to you is coming from the Washington Post. The name of the article is Long-Term Unemployment at Post-Pandemic High, Straining Workers and Economy. So I took a decent amount of notes from this article, so excuse me in advance, apologies in advance if I'm looking down a lot, but let's just get straight into it, right? So as of August 2025, 1 out of every 4 worker in the United States is unemployed and has been unemployed for at least half a year, right? This is a number that economists say is only seen during periods of economic turmoil. The first indication is employers have frozen hiring because of all of these tariffs that are being imposed by the Trump administration, as well as these policies that are crippling businesses, American businesses. They have frozen hiring. They're trying to wait everything out. They're trying to see the final effects of all of these tariffs and these policies. The second indication is layoffs are rising. Weekly claims for unemployment benefits or insurance has reached its highest level since October 2021. All right. The third indicator is 1.9 million Americans have been unemployed for at least 27 weeks, right? This is the first time in 4 years that there are more unemployed people in the United States than there are jobs. Now, this is the 5th recession indication. The unemployment rate has exceeded 25%. It is officially at 25.7%. Now, this has only happened 3 times since 1950, and it has always happened after a recession. After, not before. The first time that this happened was for 1 month, June 1983, after an inflation-fueled recession. The second time was for an 8-year stretch following the 2009 Great Recession. And the third time was for 1 year and a half after the COVID-19 pandemic. All right. And now we're facing that again. Just to make it very clear, those of you who voted for this man to be elected, for him to be in office, you voted for an administration that has not only been imposing policies that has been crippling American businesses, but tariffs that have been crippling the American economy, to the point where there has not only been massive layoffs, but these American companies that are either struggling to keep their doors open or are so money hungry that where they want to keep their pockets full have frozen hiring. Okay, they have frozen hiring. For there to be more unemployed people than there are jobs available in this country, that says a lot. That's absolutely alarming. But remember, y'all voted for this. Y'all voted for this. All you red states, all you red people, all you MAGA people, y'all voted for this. Now, let me introduce another issue with all of this, right? Studies have found that workers who are unemployed long-term are less likely to find jobs than others, right, compared to others. And it's not because they don't want to find a job, okay? But understand, once you've become unemployed long-term, you start to lose connections. You start to lose contact. Not only that, your skill set starts to be less valued, not because you haven't put in the work, because you haven't been working. So the growing field, and understand most fields are growing with each season, you're losing touch. You're not there. You're not present. So you're not able to keep up with the times. So when you are applying for jobs and they're asking for certain skill sets, you don't have it available because you don't have the experience. And God help you. God be with you if you are a younger worker or a recent graduate, a recent high school graduate or a recent college graduate.